in the basement. Haven't really named it yet. Hadn't thought of anything, so filling up my hot liquor tank. Actually, my mash water, or sparge water, if you will. I've got 9 gallons of mash water in the Blickman Boilermaker already. Had to do that because of the capacity of the 15-gallon tank. Wasn't going to have enough to be able to sparge out with. So, boil kettle, awaiting fresh wort. Got my hoses over here in the sink, ready to go down to the 2 pumps on the bottom shelf, running up to the control panel here. So I will be back in a few minutes when I get my hot liquor tank full and get everything fired up, all the hoses connected, and start recirculating to heat the strike water. Alright, so we're back. Got all of our hoses hooked up. Got our hose coming from the mash tun down to the wort pump. Back up from there to the top of the Herms coil, my heat exchanger. Back out from there, back up into my mash tun. Got the hot liquor tank outlet coming from the bottom out, back up to the recirculation port inside. So we're ready to crank it on and start some water flowing. So crank on the wort pump first. Take a look inside, see what we got. And got water flowing. I'm going to crank on our water pump for our hot liquor tank. That water's over there. Put the lid on to conserve some heat energy. And got our hot liquor temp showing 51 degrees, and we'll crank the element on so it can start heating up to our strike temperature, which is 168 degrees. I'll just adjust that down. And we're rolling. So, be back in a little bit to mash in. Alright, so we're at the mash temperature, and it's time to crush the grain. Monster mill, the electric motor. So I'll be back in a minute. So we are mashed in and recirculating. Bring the temperature up to 148. Sitting at 144 right now, which is fine. A little bit low, but not a big deal. Looking pretty good. See you in. So while I'm mashing, I figured I'd go ahead and give a rundown of the system. Kind of a cow at Electric Brewery clone. It's in the basement here. Finished off the space. My wife gave me the thumbs up. Wife of the Year award goes there. Okay, so boil kettle, 5,500 watt element, sealed enclosure, just almost exactly like what Cal has. Auber Instruments 2-inch RTD probe, stainless steel ball valve, and QD quick disconnect. 5/8 dip tube from Bobby in New Jersey. They're awesome. Thanks, buddy. Mash tun is Blickman 20-gallon Boilermaker with the false bottom. Ported in at the top for recirculation in the Herm system. Down here are the two workhorses of the brewery, one March pump, one chugger pump. Didn't buy them both at the same time. Bought a March pump, liked it a lot, then found a chugger pump that was insanely cheap on Amazon, so I went ahead and bought that. And I like them both. I think the chugger is maybe just a little bit better. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. Then the hot liquor tank. Back on the mash tun, got a stainless T with another Auber Instruments RTD probe. All of my probes have the high grade lead wires that run back to my panel. Awesome product from Auber Instruments. Okay, hot liquor tank. Got the 50-foot stainless steel coil from Stainless Brewing. Zach does an awesome job out there. 5500 watt element in the bottom of that as well. And then as you can see, the recirculation port. The two vessels that are my hot liquor tank and boil kettle are from Amazon. They're King Cooker products. Pretty cheap. Good way to get started in electric without spending a lot of money. The walls are a little bit thin, but not too bad. And then my panel. It is from Auber Instruments as well. All my PIDs are from Auber. All the switches are from Auber, lights from Auber. As you can see, I kind of like them a lot. Heat sink on top. Two 40 amp solid state relays inside. Went to the trouble of installing a TV mount so I can swing my panel around to the front of the brewery and kicked my table and broke a plate. So the mash is done and heating up to the temperature, getting up there. Be back in a little bit for the mash out. Alright, so we are up to our mash temperature. We're going to swap the hoses around. So what we want to do is we want to have the wort come out of the bottom of the mash tun through the pump up into the kettle. So we're going to take this hose and move it over to the kettle. And then we will take the recirculation hose. We're going to run the hot liquor tank water through the coil to clean it, so we don't have to worry about cleaning it later. So we'll take the outlet from the pump for the water, move it over to the top of the coil. It will then recirculate the hot water from the hot liquor tank through the recirculation port in the mash tun, and we'll begin our mash out. Okay, so on our sparging, we want to have the water about 2 inches above the grain bed, so we're going to fill our water up so that we've got a couple inches over top of the grain bed, and then we'll begin our sparge out into the boil kettle. Sparge at a pretty slow rate. You can kind of look in here and see that the wort is collecting in the boil kettle very slowly. I'm going to extract fairly slow so we don't channel the grain bed. And it looks like everything's going pretty good. Slow this down just a little bit so we maintain our level over top of the grain bed. Nifty little tip from Cowell there. Put a clip on your sight glass so you can see whether or not your level is raising or lowering as you sparge. Alright. Okay, so if you come over, we got the element covered. So we're going to go ahead and start our heating to boil. I put my first wort pop addition in. So we'll come over and crank the boil element on. And I'm going to set it to manual, and I'm going to set it to 100% until we actually achieve a boil in the back and back down. So I got about 100%, and now the element will fire 100% of the time until I tell it otherwise. Boiling.
Yeah, we're just now at the top of the bed.
Coming up staying in the hood for the most part. Not seeing too much going out of there. Got the element set on 70%. It was boiling too much and about to boil over, even at what was it, like 7 or 8 gallons. So we got 5 more gallons to go before we reach our volume, but at least the main part of the boil protein is gone now, so shouldn't have any issues. Alright, so our boil is over, and I have begun the whirlpool. Keith, this is for you. Out of the boil kettle, down to the pump, back up into my hose, and the hose has a quick disconnect with a 90-degree fitting on it. I just dumped 2 ounces of hops in, and this is my whirlpool, and it's moving pretty good, as you can see. Have not added a circulation port on the bottom of the kettle. I may do that at some point, but this works for the time being, so I'll let this whirlpool for 30 minutes, pick up plenty of hop aroma and bitterness from the Whirlpool edition, believe it or not. Most people don't think you get any bitterness from that, but definitely will. Alrighty, see you when the cooling comes. So I said I was going to come back at cool down, but I thought I just wanted to show this. So I'm still whirlpooling. It's been about 18 minutes, and I wanted to just show a temperature drop. We've only dropped from 212 degrees, which is boiling, down to 190 in 18 minutes. So we're still well within the sanitary range. Everything is still sanitized. No problems for infection or anything like that. Then we'll hook up the counterflow chiller shortly and be chilling down to pitching temperature. Chiller going on. Tap water from the faucet going through. Cooling it down from about 170 degrees down to about 65, 67 degrees for pitching. Seems to be working pretty good. All in all, the day was a success with the brewery. Thanks to my dad for helping out.
Didn't blow anything up. Didn't lose the brews.
Yeah. And didn't lose any limbs. So, all right. So it looks like a success, and we'll see you on the next brew.